A very good evening to one and all. So let's start a session for today. I've been given the pleasurable task of introducing the topic as well as the speaker for the day. Good evening again, one and all. A warm welcome. And I thank all our members who are present here to have made it in spite of their busy schedule. And I know the country is now opening up partially and slowly after the pandemic, and I'm sure everyone would be getting back to the just like decision making, most of the leadership conduct and executive roles and responsibilities entirely revolve around the mind matters. And that's what makes today's session extremely special. With this brief intro, please allow me to introduce the speaker for today. It is indeed my extreme pleasure and honor to introduce you all Colonel Ajai Lal. Colonel Ajai Lal is a leadership and executive coach, a speaker with extensive transformational leadership development expertise. He is a former chief business officer, a colonel, veteran colonel in the Indian Army, former senior military observer in the United Nations. It's indeed our pleasure to have him here. Colonel Ajai is a recognized expert in coaching and empowering leaders to develop their optimal potential. He's a seasoned global executive and a dynamic speaker who draws from his leadership experiences across a span of 45 years. Ajai has developed and mentored rising leaders in the corporate space and in the military. He has received several recognitions in the Indian military, the United Nations Medal for Distinguished Service, as well as numerous corporate awards, including the prestigious Global Leadership Award. He has been a coach with IMD Business School, Switzerland, for their high performance leadership program. Ajai is a reputed and ICF accredited leadership and executive coach. He is also a certified facilitator and keynote speaker with John Maxwell team and coach with Halftime Institute, United States. He has facilitated leadership development programs and coached C-level executives and senior management at various multinational corporations. Some of his key clients include Deloitte, Adobe Systems, Edelweiss, Danieli Chorus, and Thermax Limited. Ajay has been recently conferred the World HRD Congress 2019 Dr. Marshall Goldsmith Achievement in Coaching Award and the Best in Class Leadership Coach at the Thought Leaders Summit and Awards in 2020, as recent as now. Over a 15-year corporate career, Ajai progressed to lead as Chief Business Officer and Head of International Education Business at NIIT Limited, a market-leading global talent development corporation driven to build a skilled manpower touching millions of learners across about 40 countries. He's spearheaded the company's expansion into new geographies and helped position the company strategically over the long term to future its global reach. Ajay was also responsible for the execution of global education and skill development initiatives that were awarded the World Education Public Choice Award. Prior to transitioning into corporate career, Ajay led various strategic and critical operations in the Indian Army. With a distinguished career of about 25 years, he commanded very prestigious fronts for India. To name a few, he commanded an armored regiment on a critical border forefront and held the distinction of serving with 2 overseas missions with the United Nations in Cambodia, where he commanded United Nations military observers from 33 countries. He successfully led troops through complex missions to protect internal security, and internationally he was part of the Indian Peacekeeping Force, IPKF, in Sri Lanka. Ajai's leadership has been proven through years of challenging operations. Having said that, it's indeed a great pleasure for all of us, and I don't think we have a better person to listen to in terms of leadership skills, in terms of mind matters. And very personally, I've been one of those lucky people who have been mentored by Ajai Lal personally into leadership and executive coaching during the course of my career. And therefore, it is all our pleasure to listen to Colonel Ajai Lal in this session. So over to Colonel Ajai Lal. Thank you so much for coming over, sir, in spite of your busy schedule, in spite of all the other work that you're carrying on. And again, thanks for a very short notice agreeing to come and speak to all of us. It's our privilege. And please carry on, sir. We are over. We are eagerly waiting to listen to what you have to, tell us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Shriram. Very, very kind of you, indeed. So a hearty welcome to everybody, and it's really wonderful to speak to everybody this evening. And I really hope everybody, your families, you're happy, you're safe, you're blessed. I've been tracking a lot of ICAI activities, and was very happy to know the humanitarian efforts being done by ICAI under the leadership of the chairman. And I saw food distribution and fund donations, and I really liked the tenet which you had coined, together we can, in both the professional and the social activities. So it's really a pleasure for me to be speaking to this August gathering, whoever are on this call. And let me start by saying that I'm actually delighted to be speaking and allowing me to speak into your lives. And I don't take this for granted, because you're investing the most precious resource, your time, on this session. And I am conscious of that. So to start with, I just want to specially give a vote of thanks to the chairman, Mr. Kaiser Shakir, the vice chairman, Mr. Deepak Bindal, secretary Shriram Gopalakrishnan, treasurer Robin Gonsalves, and the entire advisory committee. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on this onerous platform. So let me start by saying, I chose this theme of unleashing your power within because it can change, it can transform, and it can elevate your life. I believe that you have tremendous, limitless, infinite potential packed within you. There is genius which is locked up inside, just waiting to be birthed and fully expressed in this life. Each one of you has come with a unique calling and purpose in your life. Everybody's got a unique calling. And we all know that this life is a dash. It's a dash between two dates. The day you're born and the day we leave this earth. And we got to make that dash count. So with this as the backdrop, I first thought I'll give you a snapshot of my story, but Shriram has done it beautifully, tremendously, more than what I deserve. So let me jump with a few requests, if that is okay. The first is, focus is power. So my request is, come full in, come all in into this session. And physiology makes a lot of difference in the focus. So keep yourself a little active on your chair, because you're going to be sitting for 2 hours. It's not a short time. So remain a little active on the chair. Sit straight with your back, shoulders relaxed, and enjoy this little time we have together. And my request would be, the second request is, let your energy flow. Everything is about energy. Let your energy flow through the chat box. If I request for certain responses or comments, please feel free to punch into the chat box. Anything which speaks to you, note it down or put it in the chat box. It may help somebody else. And since I do have a presentation, just to give it a little structure, I like to go kind of hop between a speaker view and a SlideShare view so that we remain a little more engaged. So with this as the backdrop, let me start with this session, and I'll put it on share screen. Rohit, may I request you to put me on as a co-host, please?
Yeah, sure, sir.
And while that is happening, a quick administrative request is, any participant who have a question, please feel free to type it in the Q&A chat box. And what we'll do is, I'll take these questions and I will summarize it, and maybe I will put it to Colonel, and he might then, answer the questions as and when the participants are doing. So this is just in order that we don't interrupt the session. So please feel free to put in all your questions into the Q&A and the chat box. Q&A is preferable. Chat box would be more cluttered. Thank you.
Okay, so just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly. Just give a thumbs up.
Yes, sir, it is very clear.
Okay, so unleash your power within. And let me start by sharing with you as to what is the way I've structured this. Basically, to answer 3 questions. I'll put this chat box in the center so I'm looking straight into you. Firstly, why this theme, and raising our awareness on this theme. The second, what is the mind? Understanding the mind. And the third, what do you do to unleash your power within? And I'll share with you the power of choice and 6 simple steps. Now, first I thought, let me shorten this and possibly jump straight to point 3. But then I realized that unless we don't understand why we do what we do, it's not sustainable. And therefore, a little bit of earlier setting the stage before we really come to the key question of what do we really do. So my request would be, in this session, through this session, firstly, please pardon me if I challenge you. Please pardon me if some statements may seem intimidating. I have no such intentions. My only intention would be to emphasize certain points. So I hope that is fine with you all. The second is, kindly don't reject anything, and neither should you accept anything. My only request is, hear it with an open mind, think over it, consider it, and more importantly, whatever you decide to act on it. And as we go along, I will keep sharing my own personal stories as to how I've utilized what I'm going to share with you. Is that okay? Okay, so let me start with a little bit of a morose question, with your permission. Okay, here's the question. What do you think are the top 5 regrets of the dying? What do you think are the top 5 regrets? Let me put this in context. This is about a nurse Bronnie Ware, and she was looking after the patients in their last 12 weeks in the care when they're just about 12 weeks from their last day. And she went around and kept asking them questions. Do you have any regrets in life? Or would you have done something differently? And she kept taking these responses from all these thousands of patients and then bucketed them into a few themes. And one of the clarity which she spoke about was, it was surprising how closer to the last day, or when you're closer to the your last day in life, how phenomenal clarity you get in your vision. So instead of waiting for that day, I thought, let's start from the end in mind. So give me your responses. What would you think would be a couple of these themes? Just put it in the chat box. Let me have a few responses, please. Okay. Deepak says, not able to give time to family. Wonderful. Yeah, so we've got to be a little active on the chat box, because that's the only way our energy will miss opportunities. Wonderful, Anoop. Some more, please. A few more. Not able to take risks. Not pursuing my hobbies. Wonderful. Afraid to be happy. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for participating. It kind of energizes me. So here are the a few of those themes. The first was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not what others expected of me. And this meant that many of them had unfulfilled dreams. Their dreams were not fulfilled because of the choices they made or didn't make, the risks which they had to take and they didn't take. And another big aspect was, they realized how much freedom health gave them. We only realize that freedom until we lose it. So that was the courage to live a life true to myself. The second one was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Wonderful. Suresh hit the nail on the head. And the context of this was, I wish I had spent more time in seeing the youth of my children. They missed the youth of their children. And the second, more quality time with their companion and their partners. These are the two big aspects in the working part, or not leading an integrated life. What is the third? I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. And therefore, people suppress their feelings. They suppress their feeling for fear of others' opinions or to maintain peace with others. And with the result, they led a mediocre life and never were able to express their truest and fullest self. And the key aspect of this was, kindly note, because they were not expressing themselves, they suppressed it. And whatever they suppressed, the bitterness, the resentment, the unforgiveness, those things caused health issues with them. Unforgiveness was one of the key aspects which is toxic. That's the third one. Fourth, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, because they're so busy in the hullabaloo of life that they forgot to spend time with those golden friendships which they had. And they realized it very close to their last day. And the last was, as somebody had mentioned, I wish that I had let myself be happier. Note the words. Let myself be happier. Some even didn't realize it till the last couple of weeks, that happiness was a choice. It was a choice they had to exercise. They were not going to get happiness from outside. They had to exercise the choice. They had to understand not to be stuck in old patterns, in old habits, in the familiarity of the comfort and the fear of change, and therefore pretended to themselves and pretended to others that they were content. But truly, they were hollow from inside. Now, these are the 5 big themes which emerged. So here's my question. I'd request you to reflect. Take a moment to reflect. What's your greatest regret so far? Because sometimes we're so busy, we don't even get the time to reflect. And whoever is comfortable, please feel free to put it in the chat box. Because when you put something which is suppressed outside, then you're able to deal with. You're able to deal with it more objectively. So if you're comfortable, put down whatever you feel is possibly at this stage. What's your greatest regret so far? Wonderful. Thanks, Prashanta. So let's proceed further. Let's proceed further. And let me shoot another question. And this question is, do you have all the success you desire in life? Do you have all the success? Now, let me put this in context. Firstly, success is a very subjective term, right? Success means different to different people. But let me put this in context. I think I can stop sharing the screen for a little while. Let me put this in context. We have various dimensions in our being as humans. We have a spiritual dimension. We have a physical dimension. We have a relational dimension. We have an intellectual dimension. We are a mind, body, soul, and spirit. We are a whole being. We are a whole person. So when I say success, what I mean is, do we have a wholesome life? Because if, let's say, we are successful intellectually or physically, and some areas it's flat, then that wheel of life is going to be bumpy, is going to be stress-filled, because it's flat from somewhere. So what I mean is a wholesome life. And you have success in all facets of life. Do you have a thriving, successful career, or your business? Do you have great relationships, personal, professional, relationship with your own self? Are you in great physical shape, physical health? Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Are you leading a life of meaning and contribution? Do you have purpose in your life? Because we all know there are 2 very important dates in our life. The first date is the day we are born. And the second day is when we know why, as to what's our purpose. Now, I would understand many of us will be wanting in some facet or the other. And those of us, I can assure you, who are blessed to be successful in all facets, I can tell you also that there is scope to elevate your game. So give me a quick snapshot in a yes or no. Do you think you expressed all your potential in this world till now? Do you think you have monopolized all the opportunities? Give me a yes or a no. Give me a yes or a no. No, no, no. Some more responses, please, because then I know that you're engaged with me. No, 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 no. One. So firstly, thank you so much for being transparent. Thank you so much for being authentic. Thank you so much for being truthful. So my next question, why not? Why not? What do you think is the problem? What do you think is the problem? Is the problem on the outside? Is the problem in the business environment, in the market environment, in the economy, in COVID-19? Is technology with other people or our customers, clients? What do you think is the problem? Is it on the outside or is it on the inside? What's the root? Outside or inside? Internal. I'm so happy with the very engaged participants. I'm very, very happy to note, yes, internal, our inhibitions, our fears, internal, both inside, outside, internal, inside, to satisfy others. Wow. Now, if the majority feel that it is on the inside, so with folded hands and with due humility, please allow me the liberty to say what I'm going to say. The problem is you. And when I say you, it includes me. I am very much included, right? Let me stop sharing the screen now. I'm very much included. The only person stopping you is you. The only problem you'll have is you. And the only solution you will have is you. And let me tell you, and I speak with experience, allow me that. The key is to get yourself out of your own way. The key is to get yourself out of your own way so you can fully express yourself. Let me share with you two tools which I use, which help me stay kind of centered. And what are those two tools? The first is this. This is a magnifying glass. So when I put the magnifying glass, I check myself as to where is my focus. Is my focus on the not or is my focus on the got? In any situation, experience, any event, is my focus on what that event does not have or what that event has? What that person does not have or what that person has? Is it on the not or is it on the got? Because wherever is your focus, that magnifies. So this is the first tool, magnifying glass. Where is your focus? On the not or on the got of anything? And here's my second tool. And this is a magnifying mirror. This is a magnifying mirror.
The heat is too much, and we really cannot compromise on this.
Is there any disturbance?
Then we need to.
Okay. So it's the magnifying mirror. Is it outside or is it inside? Where's the issue? Is it their issue or is it mine? This two tools helps me to focus on where the issue is and what you can change. Both these are pointing at you. And there is a beautiful Serenity Prayer. I don't know how many of you know the Serenity Prayer. Can I have it in the chat box? Or how many of you know the Serenity Prayer? Okay, so here's the Serenity Prayer. God, Give me the serenity to accept the things I can, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's the Serenity Prayer. So if we agree that, let me share the screen now. If we agree that the problem is you and us, then the next question is, what about you? Just throw it in the chat box. What about you? What about you is the problem? Is it the head? Is it the heart? Is it the arm? Is it the hand? What is the problem? What about you is the problem? Can I have some responses, please, on the chat box? Mind, 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 mind. Wonderful. Attitude, mind, mind, mindset. Excellent. So the problem is your mind. Your mind is your enemy number one. And please hold on. Don't get me wrong. Your mind is a marvelous, brilliant tool. It's brilliant. It can achieve the amazing, the incredible, the astonishing. But your mind can also be your biggest blocker and your stopper to change and transformation and growth. Now, some of you may be feeling possibly a little intimidated that who's this guy to tell us that our mind is the problem? Now, those who feel that actually feel that they and their mind are the same thing. They're not created a separation between them and the mind. So at this stage, let me reveal to you life's greatest secret. Are you wanting to know life's greatest secret? Yes or no? Put it in the chat box. Do you want to know life's greatest secret? Yes or no? Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you for engaging. Thank you for the energy flowing. So here's life's greatest secret. Thank you so much for your responses. Appreciate it. You are not your mind. Let me repeat that. You are not your mind. Now, some of you may be saying, what? What do you mean that you're not my mind? Yes. Let me explain that to you. You have a hand, you have an arm, you have a car. You're not the car. You're not the arm. You're not the hand. You have a mind, but you're not the mind. You're not the voice in your head. You're the person hearing that voice. You're not your thinking. You're the person hearing your thinking. Don't we normally say my mind? That means there is a my and there is a mind. If my and my mind are the same thing, then what is the mind? So please pause here and reflect and sense the separation between you and your mind. The separation between you and your mind. When you get and sense that separation, then it gives you the authority to be able to have command and control over mind and not its soldier. Let me give you a few personal stories. Shri Ram shared the journey when I was in Cambodia. Mind, we to cut or lose our limbs and have conflict resolutions with them. And we could speak each other's language. It was being interpreted through an interpreter. Now in these missions, what if your mind, you go over a mine and you blow up your leg? What if they shoot you on the way, 47 around their shoulder, and you as a UN military observer are unarmed? You don't carry weapons to those negotiations. What if they shoot you in the head? What if the interpreter is kind of bought out and he interprets something different, which I'm not even saying? All those thoughts keep flooding my mind. One had to take authority over those thoughts. And I thought larger to go ahead and conduct that mission with full gusto. Because courage is not the absence. And there were some where the fear got better of them and they made all kinds of excuses. I won't go into that. So that was one in a life and death situation. The other was Shri Ram shared my journey. After 4 years of training and 25 years in the military, 29 years in uniform, I suffered an accident on a tank in an operational mission, very close, right leg. And I could feel the ground against my back. It was a pit moment, the darkest moment in my life. I felt that my 29 years had just been washed away in just a jiffy. So I decided to take premature retirement from the military. I had no such plans because there's no point serving when you've got a busted right leg. So when I took premature retirement and walked out of the army, the thoughts which kind of flooded my mind. Listen, you don't have any qualification. You have no business qualification. You don't have a job. You don't have a house. You don't have money. Who's going to accept you? You're not smart enough for the business environment. You're going to be on the road. You have 2 children. How will you look after them? Now, I had to take control and command over those thoughts because I transmuted those into a larger goal for the second half of my life. And I started picturing as to what I can become and what were the qualities I had, not on what I didn't have. What did I have? I had experience. I had experience with the military. I could apply that. I imagined myself leading businesses, pictured that in the screen of my mind. I thought that I will grow financially and be able to give better education to my children. I started flooding my mind with those kind of thoughts, and that helped me to find my feet and to spend 15 years in the corporate. It changed my story. So the whole session, we're going to only talk about that. I'm just giving you snippets. So you got to be the commander of your mind and not the soldier. Let me share another screen with you. You all have heard of this word commando. You know the full form of commando? It stands for a combination of mind, muscle, and nerve during operation. That's what it stands for. And what's special? Why did I share this with you? You observe out here There is no mention of hardware. There is no mention of the sophisticated and the lethal weaponry which the commandos carry. I've worked with them. There's no mention, because that doesn't matter. Because the focus is on the mindware. The focus is on the heartware, because the battle is in the mind. And the battle is in the 18 inches between the heart and the mind. If you can get this alignment straight, you can be unstoppable. Nothing can ever stop you. We've all heard of a knowing doing gap, right? We may be knowing a whole lot of stuff. How does it matter? Are we doing it? And the reason why this is a gap, because there are different parts of the mind which are engaged in the knowing and different parts of the mind which are engaged in the doing. And unless we don't understand that, we'll never be able to leverage our full potential and be the truest and fullest expression of ourselves in this world. All we have to get control of is this 2 fist worth of the brain and the mind. If we get control of this, nothing can stop us. So let me jump and let's get to understanding the mind a bit. So are you all engaged with me? Are you engaged with me? Say a yes or a no, please. Are you engaged? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate this wonderful audience. It's so engaged. Everybody is so active. Thank you so much. So let's get to this question. What is the mind? And I'll just try to give you the most simplistic explanation I can so that it is practical and we understand it. That's my purpose, right? Okay, let's go. Thank you for your responses, sirs. Thank you very much. Okay. Your mind is a marvelous tool, right? We all heard of computers. We're talking on the computer right now, and I'm going to breeze past this. And we know the capacity, the power, how many pictures, songs, etc. this can hold. We all understand that. We know there are even supercomputers, tremendous processing power. But our mind can perform 10 quadrillion operations. And that's not the big part. That's not the great part at all. It can do that per second. And that too is not the great part. It can do that without you knowing. Can you sense the humongous power? And let me prove that to you. How come without your knowing? I'll prove it right now to you. You're watching me across the screen, right? You're on your computer screen. Now, your blood is flowing through your bloodstream. Your blood pressure is maintained. Yes or no? Obviously, yes. Your heart is beating. Your pulse rate is fine. Yes or no? Yes. Your body temperature is maintained 98.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes or no? Yes. Your eyelids are blinking. Yes or no? Yes. Thank you for responding. Thank you for being along with me in the session. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It keeps me going. 60 trillion cells in your body are performing 6 trillion operations per second without you even knowing it. So here's the question. Who's doing that? Please put your responses here. Who do you think is doing that? Who is doing that? Our brain, okay? Brain, Ankush. Thanks, Ankush. Deepak, soul. Shekhar, our mind. Okay. Suman, wonderful, wonderful. Narendranath, brain. Okay. soul, auto system. Wow. Thank you. So here's what it is. Thank you for being so engaged. What I engage, I feel so happy. It's your subconscious mind. What does sub mean? Sub means below your consciousness. Like the chairman. Chairman has got an Indian Navy background. He understands, like all of us also, what's a submarine? A submarine goes under the water. Subconscious is below your consciousness. You're not aware of it. That is subconscious. It's hugely powerful. Its processing power is 4 billion bits per second. Whereas your conscious mind, we'll come to that, intellectual, just about a couple of thousand bits per second. That's the power of your subconscious mind. We've got to understand that. However, with all that power which I shared with you right now, there is one big limitation. And if we understand this one limitation and use this limitation to your advantage and not to your disadvantage, we can really catapult in life. So what do you think? Little quick responses, please. What do you think is that one limitation of the subconscious mind? We're talking the subconscious mind now. Yes. Throw it in the chat box, please. Throw it in the chat box. What's the one limitation? The limitation is the thoughts we have planted. Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Satyamurthy. Rabin, thanks. Conscious says no. Deepak Bindal says no. Okay, wonderful. Heart, Chiram, heart, conscious mind, not knowing reality, inhibitions. Wonderful. Okay, thanks. Thanks for this engagement. Thanks for this engagement. So, the one limitation is that it cannot differentiate between a real experience and a thought of experience. Let me repeat that. You need to understand this. It cannot differentiate between a real experience and a thought of experience. Let me explain this. Let me explain this with an example which is important for you to understand. Let's say you're sleeping at night. All of you are sleeping at night and you get a nightmare. So when you get a nightmare, what happens? You suddenly wake up. You wake the person who's sleeping next to you. And if somebody at that time sees you, possibly your blood pressure, if it's noted, will be higher. Your pulse rate will be higher. Your breathing will be faster, shorter breaths. Maybe you're panting. Maybe you started sweating. Now think. All those bodily reactions have happened. But think now. In reality, what happened? In reality, nothing happened. You just had a dream. You had a thought, a dream. But the subconscious mind cannot differentiate. And it responded exactly as if it was a real situation. Now we've got to bear this in your mind now. It cannot differentiate. Let me give you another example to explain this, but this is critical to be understood. There's something called a placebo effect. Please, I'm just trying to, at least give you certain important aspects in this limited time. Placebo effect. What is placebo effect? I'll give you the snapshot of the placebo effect. This is a research carried out. 2 groups of patients having the same ailment. One group is given a medicine, which is the actual medicine for that ailment. The other group is given also a medicine, but it's not a medicine, it's just a sugar pill, but it looks like a medicine. And that group is told that they're actually having a medicine. So they're thinking they're actually having a medicine, but they're having a sugar pill. Long story short, What's the result of that research? Both the groups of patients got healed. Even those who just had the sugar pill, they also got healed because they thought they're having an actual medicine, and the subconscious is powerful. It self-healed that ailment. That's the power, ladies and gentlemen, of your subconscious mind. So let me give you a little summary of whatever I've covered till now. Please keep in mind that your thought is also critical. Your thought is like a seed, and your subconscious is like the soil. Whatever the seed you will plant, so will the plant you will get. You plant a fruit seed, you'll get a fruit plant. You plant a cactus seed, you'll get a cactus plant. It can't change. Whatever is impressed by your thought on the subconscious, which is the soil, so will be expressed. The conscious mind or the thought is like the captain of the ship. And the subconscious is like the engine deck. Whatever the captain orders, the ship, turn 10 degrees east. The engine deck has no option to argue back. It doesn't argue back. It just accepts it and says, yes, sir, turning 10 degrees east. The thought is like the captain. The subconscious is like the engine deck. So please keep this aspect in mind. And let me give you a little deeper explanation, because this I feel is important. I'm taking you through this diagram of the mind. Now, this was created by Dr. Thurman Fleet. It's in the 30s. He created this simple diagram. 2 circles, one large circle, one small circle. This is by design. The mind is a larger circle, the body is a smaller circle, because the body is just an instrument of the mind. The top circle, the mind, divided in 2 parts. The conscious mind, which is also your intellectual mind, and the subconscious mind, which is your emotional mind. Right? Are you with me? Please, a yes or a no, please. Are you with me? Just feed into the chat, please. Are you guys with me? Thank you so much. Thank you. Great. Good job. Now, let's get a little understanding. The conscious mind is where your physical senses are connected. Your 5 physical senses, you all know that. You see those antennae there. But the conscious mind, just to give you a summary, there are 3 key aspects. It can choose your thoughts, it can accept or reject, and it can originate. That's your conscious mind. That's the seed. Remember the seed? That's the seed. And let's talk about the subconscious mind. What about the subconscious mind? Now, it cannot reject. It must accept. And it cannot differentiate between a real experience and a thought of experience. Now, keep these aspects in mind of the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious can choose, accept, reject, originate. Subconscious must accept. It cannot reject. Now, thank you for this lovely Satyamurthy. We are consciously with you. Now, when you have a thought in the conscious mind and you impress that on the subconscious mind, your thought on the subconscious mind, then it is no option but to manifest through the body into action and result. So whatever is the thought impressed on the subconscious will get expressed through the body into action, whatever action you'll take, and the results that you'll get. And that is the process of manifestation of anything in your life. That's the process of manifestation. Let me put that simplistically. That's the process of manifestation. Your thoughts or the story you tell yourself determine your feelings and your emotions in the subconscious mind, which determines the decisions you make and the actions you take, which determine the results. That process of manifestation you cannot change. Thoughts to feeling, thoughts in the conscious mind, to the feeling emotion in the subconscious, to the actions, the body, and result is just an outcome. So if you need to change the results or some area or facet of your life where you're not getting the results which you really want, you have no option but to go backwards. To change the result, you have to change the actions. And to change the actions, you have to change the way you feel and emote. And to change the way you feel and emote, you have to change the thoughts. You have to change the story you're telling yourself. So if you're not getting results in any particular area of your life, reflect. Reflect. What is the story? What are you telling yourself? That's the most important conversation you ever have, is the conversation you have with yourself. What are you telling yourself? I would request you to keep a note of this. What are you telling yourself? And I'll come back to this a little later. But tag this in your mind. What are you telling yourself where you're not getting results? I remember coaching one of very senior person in the management in one of the corporates, very senior person. And in the coaching conversation, he said, you know, Ajay, I remain depressed. I'm always depressed. I feel low. So my response to him was, frankly speaking, I'm not a therapist. So I cannot help in therapy. That's not my role. I'm just a coach. But since you have asked me this question, the only thing and advice I can give you, if you're depressed, one simple thing, change your thinking. What are you thinking? Where are you focused? Is you focused on what is the not, or are you focused on the God? Are you grateful for what you have? Or are you so ungrateful for what you don't have? Where is your focus? And believe me, he saved a fair amount of money by that simple input instead of going to therapists and paying through his nose. So with this as the backdrop, let's go a little further and let me ask you this question. Now we'll focus a bit on the conscious mind, right? I've given you a basic understanding of the stick man. Now let's talk a bit about the conscious mind. And here's my question. What are your intellectual faculties? And when I say intellectual faculties, what do I mean? Today, if you're getting certain results, it is because your thinking is at a level which is giving you the results which you're presently getting. So to elevate the results, you have to elevate your thinking. And elevating the thinking is by leveraging your intellectual faculties, your God-gifted intellectual faculties. Because that will change the vicious cycle of your thinking based on the current results, which will again get you the same results. So something has to change. You have to elevate your thinking to the next level. And how do you do that? By leveraging your intellectual faculties. You all heard, you are what you think yourself to be. You also know if you think you can, or if you think you can't, either way you're correct. And you also know that 2% people think, 3% people think that they think, and 95% people rather die than think. These are not my statistics, these are not my quotes. That is the criticality of intellectual leveraging and understanding the intellectual faculties. Now, this is a separate session by itself. I can spend a whole day on this, but I thought at least I should sensitize you to these intellectual faculties. So throw it in the chat box. What do you think are our intellectual faculties? Let me have some responses, please. Let me have some responses, please. Yes, Satyamurthy, Neeraj, Sadaf. Yes. What are our intellectual faculties? Ability to discern. Thanks, Joseph. Perception. Yeah. Some more, please. Some more responses. That's the only way I can stay engaged. Conscious mind. Archana. Praveen Bajaj. Attitude. Yes. Some more responses. Few more. Ankush. Differentiate between right and wrong. Bring back experience. Okay. Now, in interest of time, first I thought, think, analyze, accept, and reject. Thanks, Satyamurthy. Okay. So here it is. We have 6. We are talking about the conscious mind. We have 6 intellectual faculties. And the point is, many of us are not even exposed to what are the intellectual faculties. It's not our fault. What we are only aware of is the physical senses, hear, smell, see, taste, touch. But that's not going to change our level of thinking. So here are our 6 intellectual faculties. I wish I had time to explain each of those. The point is that majority of us don't even use those intellectual faculties. So we stay stuck at the same results because we are thinking from the same perspective. We are seeing the present results, which is dictating our thinking, which is dictating the results, and there is this vicious cycle. We have to break this vicious cycle and leverage our intellectual faculties to think at the next level. Think at the next level for yourself, your personal life. Think for the next level for your business. Think for the next level for your children. So, well, let me share. I don't know how you're doing for time. Okay, let me quickly go through a few of these which I feel is important, because I may not have time to go through all. The first is perception. I'll just give you a snapshot. Perception. What is perception? When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at relationships, your relationships change. When you change the way you look at yourself and be more kind and gentle to yourself, you change the way you look at your own potential, your own self-image. Because you can never outgo or outperform your self-image. You cannot. When you challenge your self-limiting beliefs, your self-limiting beliefs come crashing down. Those self-limiting beliefs which are holding you back, they crash down by changing your perception. Expanding your perception opens a visual prism from where you see things from different perspectives. That's perception. I'm just giving you a headline. The other important one which I'll share with you is imagination. Imagination is key. That is God's most precious gift to you, is imagination. Now, some people are stuck with imagining always the past. They're like historians, or some only the present, like the reporters, these TV reporters. I'm speaking from ground zero and this is what I see, just the present. But some are futuristic. They look forward thinking. Now, do remember, everything is created twice. Everything is created twice. First, in your imagination, this was created twice. First, somebody imagined it, and next, it came into reality. all the marvels, all the wonders which have been created, the masterpieces which have been created by people who stretched their imagination. They knew what they wanted. They created a vivid mental picture of what they wanted. They had a burning desire for that. And they held that picture of their imagination, of their preferred future on the screen of their mind. And that was the starting step for that to really manifest in reality. That's imagination. That's the power of imagination. The other important thing which I want to speak about, and then we'll proceed further. If you have want some more understanding on the ones which I don't have time to cover, you can ask in the question and answers, and if you have time, we'll deal with it. But another important one I want to cover is will. Will is a very important aspect. And what does will means? Will means your ability to focus, to concentrate, because wherever is your focus, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So you have to have the will to focus on what you want and discard things which you don't want. That's focus. And that is the will. To achieve anything in life, just remember, there are two questions. First is, am I able? And the second question is, am I willing? Let me assure yourself, the first answer to the first question, am I able? I can assure you, if you've thought of something, you are well able. You are a spiritual being. You have infinite potential. You are able. But the key question is, am I willing? Am I committed? Have I made a committed decision? Or am I only interested? Because if you're interested, at the first hiccup, the first pushback, you'll stop. But if you are committed, you will persevere through. So I just thought I'd just touch on 3 of these 6. And if we have time, we can always come back to it. Perception, your imagination, and your will. Will to do. Okay. So we just spoke a bit about the conscious mind, and I just spoke about the 6 intellectual faculties and touched on a brief explanation of 3 of them. Right? Now let me get to the subconscious mind, and let me give you another perspective, a simplistic perspective of the subconscious mind. You need to understand that to make a difference. Otherwise, it'll be one more training session or a session where, well, it's all forgotten as soon as we finish. I really don't want that to happen. And I'm so happy that all of you are so engaged, which gives me the kind of fillip to go further. The subconscious mind, another perspective. And let me share with you, your subconscious mind is like a filing cabinet. A filing cabinet. And why do I call it a filing cabinet? Because from the start of your time in your life, every event, every situation, every experience is getting filed in that cabinet. And you give meaning to it. Now, the meaning creating process in everybody is the same. But we can give radically different meanings to the same thing, depending on the files in that cabinet from the time we were born. The world is the same, but the way we view it or the meaning we give can be very different. The objective world is the same, but the subjective view can be totally different, radically different. Nothing is anything until you make it something, and then it becomes what you make it, at least for you. Some people even have said there's no such thing as reality. It is your reality It is my reality, and it's all dependent. Same situation, same fact, but can have totally different meanings and perspectives depending on the files in that cabinet. Let me give you an example. Let's take skydiving. Skydiving, for some, it's wonderful. This couple is enjoying themselves skydiving. But for some, it's a livid. They're terrified with skydiving. Skydiving still remains the same. Snowfall. Some people wait for it to snow so they can enjoy and go skiing. But for some, it's depressing. It's the way they are perceiving it. And it all depends on what files are there stored in the cabinet. Are you with me? Are you with me? A few yes or no's, please. A few yes or no's. Thanks, Satyamurthy. Are you with me? Thank you, sirs. Thank you, Sarim. Thank you, Ankush. Thank you, Suman. Thank you, Nimish. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful. So let's go forward. Let's go forward. So what did we talk about the subconscious now? Like a filing cabinet. Okay. Now let's talk about the next question. Hey, listen. We talked about the filing cabinet, but how do we get that information? Where does that information come in the cabinet? I think it's pretty plain and simple. That information came from other people. When we are born, we come with an empty cabinet. And that empty cabinet, filing cabinet, keeps getting filled with various information. When we are born, obviously, it's our parents, it's our siblings. Then we grow up a bit and we go to school. It's our teachers, it's our friends in school. Then we grow up a bit. Different stages of your life, you're getting information from different people, other people. And do remember, the way you came with an empty cabinet when you were born, they also came with an empty cabinet. And where did they get the information from? They also got it in the same process from other people. And what they did was they emptied out their cabinet onto you. And now you're carrying that cabinet. So I may be exaggerating a bit here. It's just to drive home a point. All that information obviously is well intended. It's well intended. But the key question you have to ask yourself is what they've told us. Is that true? Or did they believe it to be true? We have to start challenging some of the stuff. I'll come to that a little later. We have to start challenging that. The question to ask is, what they told us, was that the right way? The answer is no. It's not the right way that they told us. It is just their way. Okay? So if it's not the right way, is it the wrong way that they told us? No, it's not the wrong way. It's just their way. Is it your way? No, it's not your way. It's their way. Because those files are there in that cabinet. So here's a big learning and awareness that it is not only that you're not your mind or you're not that filing cabinet. You're also not what's in the filing cabinet. It's not who you are, but who you've learned to be. So some of you may be saying, hey, listen, Ajay, are you trying to tell us that you challenge or question everything in the cabinet? Frankly speaking, my response would be yes. Because what's the reason? A large percentage of your brain and your mind is developed when you're just a couple of years old. Your maximum programmable age, whoever are the parents here with young children, Please note, 0 to 6 years is the highly programmable age of children. So you have to be mindful what is going into that filing cabinet of theirs, because you also have the same. So we need to exercise a choice. We have to objectively view all that past stuff which we are carrying. Is it relevant now or is it not relevant? Is it serving me well to where I want to go, or is it not serving me well? I would request you to be conscious of that. And let me also explain to you the reason. You see, we discussed this stick man. We discussed this stick man. You today is the diagram on the left as you watch it, right? Today you have a thinking mind. You can still choose, accept, reject, originate thoughts. But when you're an infant, your conscious mind, please note this. Your conscious mind is not yet developed. Your conscious mind develops around when you're 12 years old. Until that time, it's just the subconscious. It's like a receptacle. Whatever is being fed, that is going into that filing cabinet. And those become those self-limiting beliefs and those paradigms on this conditioning which we keep talking about. Let me give you an example here. I was coaching a senior person in one of the corporates, and he had an issue about public speaking. And he shared with me that, I don't know, I just freeze whenever I'm in front of people. Otherwise, he's very good to talk to, excellent in his diction and his communication. So we traced back. We had some conversations, and we came to the fact he only remembered that. He got it to his awareness that when he was 8 years old, in a school assembly, he had to speak. And as soon as the mic was given to this boy, when he was 8 years old, he saw the whole school in front and he just froze. And he forgot what he had to speak. So all the school started laughing. The principal fired him up. The teachers fired him up. He felt very ashamed. Now that had got filed in his cabinet. And now he is maybe close to 50 years old. But he's still carrying that. So he had to bring that subconscious to his consciousness and then be able to deal with it. If it remains there, you can never deal with it. That's what I'm talking about. The limiting beliefs, the paradigms. And here, let me share 2 words, because those are very, very important words. And I want to share that with you. How are we going for time? Okay. Right. Please note these 2 words. Inferiority and insecurity. We're talking about limiting belief. We're talking paradigms. These 2 words, a lot stems from these 2 words. I've coached a number of senior management and management in corporates. And what is inferiority? Inferiority when you feel lower in stature, lower in value, lower in position. Inferiority. Or insecurity. You don't feel safe, don't feel confident, you don't feel firm, you don't feel rooted. And then these 2 give root to many stuff. The spirit of comparison, comparing yourself to others. I'm not good enough. He's better. And that leads to self-doubt, self-condemnation, your self-image. That comes crashing down. So you have to be aware of what are those self-limiting beliefs or paradigms which may be unconsciously or subconsciously there in those filing cabinets. And this is what actually a paradigm is. A paradigm, which is there in your subconscious, is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. Exclusive control. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. So that example which I gave you of the public speaking, it had become a habit that as soon as he saw people in front, he went back. And people have different paradigms. Some people fear the dark. Some people fear to fly. Some people feel they're not good enough. It's just their paradigms. That's not true. That's not true at all. Are you with me? Are you with me, sirs? Are you with me, sirs? Thanks, Harish. Thanks, Archana. Thank you, Umesh. Thank Praveen. Thank you, Prasanta. Thank you. Okay, so let's now go a little step further. Let's question. By the way, we never questioned. We talked about the filing cabinet. We talked about where do we get the information from, but we never talked about why do we have that filing cabinet in the first place? What do you think is the reason for that filing cabinet which you spoke about? Just put in your comments here, please. Come, Amit, tell me, why is that filing cabinet in the first place? Yeah, Suman. Memory given by God. Wonderful. It is accumulation of past experiences. Okay. Your experience, that creates our environment. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for remaining engaged. So that filing cabinet is neither for your success, nor for your happiness, nor for your growth, not for your change, not for your transformation. It is there only for one thing. And note this down, please. It's for your survival. It's to keep you alive. That's why it is there. And how does it do that? It does that by protecting you. It is your protection director. It is like your bodyguard. It is like your sentry. Pardon me, it's like an over-worried mother. It is always looking. What does the sentry do? Always looking out for danger, looking out for problems. It doesn't care about the good stuff at all, because it knows that the good stuff can't hurt you. So it just ignores that. That's not its job at all. Your filing cabinet, your protective mind, your mind, that filing cabinet is fear-based. It is anxiety-based. It has got a negative bias. Please understand that. And the way it protects you is to control you. Simple. Let me control this guy. And how does it control? Let me give you an example. You all have computers. You're watching me on the computer, your computer, right? So we install a virus protector. Why do we install a virus protector? To protect the operating system. Now what happens? If the virus protector takes over the operating system, what will happen? Nothing. It'll be zero productivity. You'll get to do nothing. Because the virus protector has taken over the operating system, it will keep running the security programs and your productivity will be zeroized. So for your bodyguard, so for your sentry. Your bodyguard and your sentry is meant to protect you. And who are you? You are the captain. You are the commander. The sentry or the bodyguard is supposed to report to you, not you to the sentry. But most people have not made that differentiation and that separation. And then you know what is happening? Imagine that the sentry is steering the ship and the captain is just going along wherever the sentry is taking, and the ship is getting nowhere. But sometimes the sentry is saying turn left, sometimes it tells turn right, sometimes stop, sometimes reverse. Ship is getting nowhere. Your sentry, your protection director, your bodyguard, that filing cabinet doesn't want your life to change. Because if your life changes, its life changes. And it likes, a sentry likes the comfort of familiarity. It's the safest there. So you remember when we started with regrets of the dying people, that they were stuck in old patterns. So your protective mind is driving you by fear. So you're never able to unleash yourself because it's holding you back. Your protective mind is based on problems because that's its role. So your life then goes from problem to problem and then to another problem in the hope that one day there will be no problem. And that day will never come. And hypothetically, let's say that day comes and you have no problem. By the way, the only place you won't have a problem is, you know where? Cemetery. That's the only place where you won't have any problem. You'll be peaceful. But hypothetically, if you don't, let's say, actually don't have a problem, you know what it'll do? Simple. It'll create a problem. It'll create a problem for you. Haven't you observed it in your own life? Sometimes you make a mountain out of a molehill. And then when you reflect back on that, you find yourself so foolish. Why did I waste my time? So that you have to be conscious about. Most people, please write this down. Most people tiptoe through life, tiptoe through life, hoping to make it safely to death. Most people tiptoe through life, hoping to make it safely to death. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have those regrets which the dying had. Because you've got a basic now understanding and awareness. So let's go now a little forward, and I need to take a pause here. And this pause is with a question. And I would request you, what old story have you been telling yourself? What have you been telling yourself? What have you been telling yourself which is holding you back? What have you been telling yourself which others have told you, which you have believed? Where are you standing in your own ways? What are the self-limiting beliefs you have? That I'm not confident enough, I'm not sure enough, I'm not qualified enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not old enough, I'm not young enough. What are you telling yourself? I'd request some top of the mind, just share it. Share what is the old story you've been telling yourself. You have to make the subconscious conscious, and then only can you deal with it. Let me have some responses. What old stories have you been telling yourself? You can't do it. I cannot jog more than 5 kilometers. Wonderful, Deepak. Limitations of self. Some more, please. Some more, please. I'm not tall. Nice, Raghunath. I'm not tall enough. It is difficult. I'm getting old now. Ankush. Time will change. Fear of failure. Okay. Wonderful. I like this. So keep this at the back of your mind. That's the old stories. That's not true. That's not true at all. So let's come now. I just try to at least cover the very, very basic bare essentials. And now let's come to the question. Therefore, what do you do? What do you do? And the first thing I like to tell you is, I told you, you are the commander of your mind, not a soldier. So you have to exercise a power of your choice. It's your choice. Remember the dying regrets? They said it was the choices we made or we didn't make. The risks we had to take and we never took. It's a matter of your choice and your committed decision. Remember one thing about choice. You have freedom. Please note this down. You have freedom till you make your choice. But after you make the choice controls the chooser. So you have to exercise the power of your choice. You're the commander. You're the captain of your ship. You're not the soldier. So let me give you two broad choices, right? There could be a negative flow, a negative cycle, or there could be a positive cycle. We still remember that stick man which we spoke about. So let's talk about the negative cycle first. I call it the fear cycle, or the bondage, or the ignorant cycle. So what is this now? When we are ignorant, firstly, we don't understand the mind, how it works. When we are not aware of our self-limiting beliefs, of what's holding us back, or somebody has said, and we started believing that, which is not taking us forward. So when we are ignorant and we are not aware, then what kind of thoughts do you have in the conscious mind? The negative thoughts of worry and of doubt, of inferiority, of insecurity, of lack, of rejection. What if this question, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Every time you worry, doubt, that's in your conscious mind. Those are the seeds, those thoughts which you're having. And when you impress those seeds, those thoughts into the subconscious below, what happens? What's the emotion? It is fear. It is fear. It is shame. It is guilt. It is worthlessness. It is hopelessness. It is sorrow. It is disgust. Because this must accept, subconscious must accept, it cannot change. And when this happens, what happens in the body? The body is just a tool. It'll manifest as anxiety, suppressed. You'll suppress your feelings, which will lead to depression, which will lead to disease, which will lead to disintegration. And you'll always keep hesitating. Either you hesitate to do things, or you will get silent, or you will avoid, or just keep conforming with what others are doing. That's a negative cycle. It's the fear cycle. It is the bondage. Please let some of these words speak to you. You don't want to be stuck there. There's a better cycle. And what is the better cycle? It's the faith cycle. You have the knowledge. You have the understanding. You have the awareness now. Hey, listen, this is where I hold myself back. I'm habitual of getting those kind of thoughts. I have the awareness. I have the understanding. I have the wisdom. I have the confidence. Those are the thoughts you're getting in your mind. And when you impress those thoughts on your subconscious, what is the emotion? The emotional mind is faith. It is belief. It is hope. It is joy. It is peace. And when that is there in the mind, then the effect on the body is well-being. You express yourself. You don't suppress. There's acceleration. There's at ease. There's creation. You get into action. You do things even afraid, but you do it. You see a person. You see a person you can make out. In a minute, you can make out what is their emotional state. You can make out. And by that, you know what are they feeding in their mind. Are you getting me? Are you with me? Are you with me? A few yeses or nos. Are you with me? Are you with me till here? Are you with me? Prashanta, thanks. Joseph, thanks. Yeah, are you with me? Harish, thanks. Amit, thanks. Deepak, thanks. Vijayan, thanks. Nimish, thanks. Rab, thank you, thank you, thank you. So this fear and the faith cycle, you have to make the choice. Nobody will make that for you. And now let me share with you, and with that we'll wrap up. Let me share with you, with this very, very basic understanding. I can only cover this in this time which is there. Let me talk about, therefore, what are the 6 simple steps? What can you do? I've exercised this. This is my practical experience that I'm going to share with you. This is not from some theory. This is not from some Google search or something. This is something which I practiced. I practice in my army life. I practice in the corporate. I practice this very recently. What are those 6 simple steps? First, monitor. Monitor. Monitor your thoughts. Notice what you are noticing. Observe what you're observing. Pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Monitor your thoughts. Open a self-talk diary, either on your phone or write it down. What are your dominant thoughts? We have 60,000 thoughts in a day, give and take. What are your dominant thoughts? Get aware of that. That's the first step. Monitor. Monitor your thoughts. Step 2, capture. I wish I had a stronger word to convey this. Capture those negative thoughts. Capture those disempowering thoughts. Capture those thoughts which are stopping you in your blocks. Capture those thoughts of inferiority. Capture this thought of insecurity, of comparison, of worry, of doubt. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. Capture those thoughts, please. Don't let those thoughts germinate. Remember the seed and the soil? Don't let them germinate. Capture those thoughts. Next, speak out. Let me tell you, why is it important to speak out? There is life and death in the power of your tongue. Speak out these 5 words which I've written. Thank you for your concern. These are polite words. I use stronger words for myself, but these are polite words. Thank you for your concern. Who are you speaking these words to? You're speaking. Who are you speaking it to? You're speaking these words to your protective mind. You're speaking these words to that sentry, to that bodyguard. You're speaking these words to that paradigm, to that old conditioning, to the self-limiting belief. You're speaking to them. Thank you for your concern. You've done your job. Your job is to make sure that I stay alive. But I'm not jumping off the 10th floor of the building. I understand you've done your job. Good show. But I'm the commander. I'm the commander of my ship. And I will do exactly which is taking me to my goal. So you say this. Thank you for your concern to that negative thought. You have to speak it out. Speak it out to yourself. That has power. And then you go to step 4. Step 4. Step 4. This is the most important. Install. Install. I want to spend little time here. Install an empowering thought. Install a thought which is giving you that inspiration to go further and deeper. In installing, you must determine what you want. So many times in my coaching conversation, I ask a person, hey, listen, tell me, what do you really want? It's difficult for people to determine what you want. I'm not talking about small goals. I'm not talking about goals that you know you can achieve or goals you think you can achieve. I'm talking about goals stretching your imagination, bold goals. Those goals am I talking about. Those goals which even make you feel afraid of it. I'm talking about those goals. That is going to unleash your potential. Don't get stuck in small your big one. Do it for your children. I've done this. Second, in installing only, have a burning desire for what you want. Have a burning desire. Never mind. No, have a burning desire. This word burning desire is from the military. It's Alexander the Great. When his Greek army was heavily outnumbered when they landed, burned, not to victory. That's imagine for yourself. Something you teach your children to imagine for their life. And then you believe it. When you're installing belief directions, and who wins? The one you will feed. So you have to feed the faith horse and emotionalize those thoughts. You're installing that. It's from the intellectual mind into your emotional mind. Are you getting me? That's what you have to install. And fifth, act. Take action. Do it a fun, jump, and build your wings along the way. Do you know the Nike logo? It says, just do it. Now, if you remove the just and it's only do it, it's not powerful. Just do it. Note this thing which I'm going to tell you now. Please note this down. If you think I can't, then tell yourself, I must. Because your treasure lies there. Don't recede to comfort. Do it afraid. Take unconditional action. Take action despite the worry, despite the doubt, despite the fear. Take unconditional action. Because I told you, courage is not the absence of fear. Because if there's no fear, there's no courage. It is action despite the worry, despite the doubt. Take action and you'll see your market, something which is holding you back, something which you're fearing to do. The moment you take a step into it, that the power of that reduces, it dissipates, it diffuses, it diminishes, it decimates. But you have to act. And last is very important. Feel good now. You have to feel good in the now. Now that you've already achieved that dream, that thought which you've installed. You already achieved it. You have to live that emotion. It's like a game half of the game. You win in the second half of the game. And most people think after a particular age, they need to retire because now they have to go down slope. No, it's got to be the other way around. Now you have the experience, you have the influence, you have the wisdom. Now it's to give your best shot of meaning and contribution to the world. This is what I imagine myself for the third phase. I imagine myself speaking in front of tens and thousands of people. I imagine that, and that I know that's going to come to pass. That's the power of your imagination and your installation and the action and feeling good now. Let me give you this, and I'll close with this. We all heard of this, the officer, Captain Vikram Batra, Paramveer Chakra. He got a Paramveer Chakra, which is the highest award in the military for decoration, for valor in the face of enemy. He was awarded PVC posthumous. And you know what he spoke to his mother? The last conversation with his mother. His last conversation with the mother was, either I'll hoist the tricolor or I'll come back wrapped in it. but come back I will. So that was his thought. That's the emotion which he impressed. And he did it against all odds. 17,000 feet high on a climb, 80 degrees high climb, was awarded Paramveer Chakra. So my request to you is to please inculcate these action steps which I've shared with you. Take action on them. Think about it.